So I'm just kind of wondering here now, guys, what have you all been watching lately? Because we've just got through the holidays and the new year, and there's been a lot of downtime. There's always downtime around this time of year. And I don't know. I know that I was able to catch up on quite a bit of stuff, some good, some bad, some ugly. And I'm just curious, what have you guys been watching lately to pass the time? I know there's a lot out there, and we always get recommendations as well doing this. It may not be in comments or anything, but sometimes people will come up to me like, you guys should do this movie, or have you seen this movie? Or even in the comments, people will always be suggesting stuff for us to check out. So I'm just wondering, what have you guys checked out lately? Anything new, anything used, anything abused?
I'm going on this tirade of watching movies that I saw a long time ago, but haven't really seen. I saw it maybe like once or twice, but don't really recall. So I did about 2 weeks ago. Blue Steel, Jamie Lee Curtis, Ron Silver. Um, I watched it again. I remember liking it, think it was pretty cool, but also I was young, so it's like some heavy stuff in that movie. And I was like, okay,
How young? How young?
oh man, probably early teens, maybe
Okay, because
maybe even
I
younger.
saw that movie. I saw that movie like when it came out on video in like 1990. So like early like ones.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I could have been 10, it's so I
Hmm.
feel like, I've watched so many things at inappropriate ages that it like all it's like, it's all the same to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember seeing it, I remember liking it and being a little scared, by in the third act. But I watched it again. It's like, let's see if this holds up, and it did. I was into it. I thought the performances were good. Um, I thought it was a good depiction of someone kind of losing their grip on reality, and
Mm.
going into this fantasy world in their own head. Yeah, so I thought it really held up. It was a good performance from Jamie Lee, and I thought the direction was good. Catherine Bigelow was good.
Well, yeah, man, it's funny. Like I saw that movie as a kid, and then subsequently, as an adult, looking back, and it's like, oh yeah, I've seen that movie. And then you read the credits where and they actually mean something to you.
Mhm.
And I saw that Catherine Bigelow had directed it, and of course, she followed it up with Point Break, which is the immortal
Mhm.
classic in this household. But my wife also really likes Catherine Bigelow, so I was like, you know what? Why don't we check this one out? Because I haven't seen it, since I was 10, and let's see, let's give it a day in court. And we watched it a couple months ago, and honestly, I thought Ron Silver was like the reason to watch that movie. He is really fantastic.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna watch Blue Steel out of a curiosity or out of a pursuit of Catherine Bigelow's filmography or Jamie Lee's filmography, Ron Silver is really the shining light in this particular film. He is just off the wall in certain respects, but he's also like really reeled in. So it's just, yeah, it's a very interesting character that he plays with a very strong dynamic. So I mean, Jamie Lee is always good, but I felt like the script and the story lacked certain intelligence and motivations by the characters. Like it seemed a little, some parts were just a little
Yeah, I
convenient.
could see that.
It was convenient writing, which is kind of like the enemy of good writing in my personal opinion.
I could definitely see that. I was thinking from like time frame point of view. For, like, that
Mm.
time, I think it was pretty good, and then because I forgot he was in it, but Clancy Brown, so
Yeah,
good
well,
in that,
no,
and
dude,
it's like,
Clancy
to see him
Brown,
not play
it
a
was great.
villain, for 5
I was
minutes?
just yeah. I was just gonna say it was great to see him not play a villain like that. That's the other. I think that and Ron Silver were like the most exciting parts of the rewatch of Blue Steel. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth a viewing if you haven't seen it. But where it leaves you is up to the individual, I think.
What about you, Ann? See anything new?
Yeah, actually, Peter recommended me a long time ago The Empire of the Sun by Steven Spielberg. So I finally watched it. And that's so impressive to see Christian Bale so young and so great. I'm not really a big fan of movies with a child as a main character. I don't know why. I don't really like that.
I'm curious what you are a really big fan of in movies, because you're not a big fan of black and white. You're not a big fan of old movies. You're not a big fan of science
I'm
fiction. You're not a
picky.
big
I'm
fan of
French, you know.
military,
Horror,
even though a lot of this is in,
horror,
The Fifth
gangster.
Element. Yeah, horror, gangsters, murder, mayhem, rape and pillage. It's just. But then you show up and you like most of the things. I would say at least 80% or 75% of like what we've explored through VHS. You tend to you know embrace with open arms and
Yeah, I'm open to change my
but yeah,
mind.
you're not a big fan of child actors.
Yeah, I don't really like when it's a child as main actors.
What soured you? Like who was the kid that like just soured the milk on child actors for you? Like what's the movie that made you just say, ugh, child actors? Was
Quite
it
all
Home
of them,
Alone?
actually. I
Say
don't.
Home Alone.
Home Alone. Yeah, no, yeah, I don't. In France, we have many movies with kids, and I don't get it. I think people like it because of the innocence.
Hmm.
They're naive, they're cute, blah blah blah. But for me, that's not cute to have a child talking like a child. I don't know. So that's what I liked in this movie. That this child actually is quite mature for his age, and is living things that nobody can have lived. Yeah, because the story, I don't know if you know it, Steve, but the story, it's an English boy in China. He lives in China, and it's during World War II. So at some point, the Japanese invade China, and it's war, and he gets separated from his parents. So he lives horrible stuff, and I'm not gonna say the end, but I don't like the end.
In addition to Christian Bale, who is the main character and the star. And I love this movie, but John Malkovich is like the co-star
Yeah,
and
I
Joe
love him.
Pantoliano is in it as well. A very young Ben Stiller shows up in this movie out of nowhere,
Yeah.
which is pretty insane. And then it's just kind of peppered with some other, great little character actors. But Christian Bale, he really is like he's in I think every scene, every shot. He is the main character, and I think he was like 12 or 13 when
Yeah.
he made this movie, and it's just phenomenal. Like it's worth watching for him alone. So I'm glad you checked it out. We might be visiting it in VHS down the line. So
And the cinematography is great also. Yeah.
I saw a bunch of movies, but one that stuck out because it kind of came from a recommendation of Steve, and it was Alien Romulus. And I don't know, Steve, you kind of made it sound like it was like the second coming or something, and I was really disappointed. I'm not blaming you because you didn't make it, but you kind of tickled my fancy, and I feel like you owe me.
I'm sorry.
You owe me,
I'm
Steve.
sorry.
The way I owe Anne for Aliens, you owe me for Alien Romulus.
Well, what didn't you like about it?
It was bullshit. Let's start there.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Well, all right. So it was completely unnecessary. None of the characters were likable. It was basically a slasher movie in the Alien universe. And the filmmaker, to be fair, I mean, his first film was the Evil Dead remake, which is a bunch of 20 somethings in a cabin getting attacked by monsters. His second movie was Don't Breathe, which was a bunch of 20 somethings in a house being attacked by Stephen Lang, a monster. And now we're just on a spaceship being attacked by aliens. And so he's basically making the same movie over and over again. It didn't add anything new. And then it kind of, what really pissed me off was that it cherry picked stuff from the franchise. And so it fell into this category. This is really what pissed me off. It fell into this category of like a insincere, self-aware franchise legacy film where it's no longer a part of this universe that has been established. It's like almost lampooning it. So there's the character, what was his name? The synthetic.
I was blank.
Andy.
Yeah.
When Andy says, "Get away from her," you bitch.
Yeah. Well,
And it's like, oh, we fucking went
yeah,
there. And
I
then
didn't like that
they
either.
have the fucking what's it called? The abomination alien get right up in her grill like Alien 3. And it's like, okay. And then that's also kind of a play off of Alien 4. It's like, oh man, we're just totally throwing originality out the window. It's like, what's the point of any of this? So I felt like I got bored halfway through, and I was just sort of waiting for the end. It was not very exciting, and the interesting and cool stuff wasn't enough to make me ever want to go back to it ever again.
I got you. I didn't want to tell you about those two things specifically because it ruined it for you, but I didn't. Those two things specifically, I also didn't care for. I'm like, I don't do that. But Andy was my favorite character of the bunch.
He was my favorite character too, but you know what? I also felt it was unnecessary to go back to Ian Holm. As much as I love Ian Holm, it's like, why are we going back to Ash, but we're calling him Rook? Like it didn't make any sense.
I didn't
Like,
mind
why
that.
not?
I thought it was kind of cool because it's like, oh,
Well, it would have been cool if
that's the type of
if
they had at that moment. That's the model.
Yeah, but it would have been cool if like the AI face replace, looked incredible, which it didn't in some points. So again, it just snaps me out
I
of
just
it.
read actually yesterday that for the home release, they redid the effect on that, so they made it look better.
Well, bully for them.
I'm sorry you didn't like it.
Yeah, I'm sorry too. I was like excited. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna watch Alien Romulus, and like I was excited about the practical effects, but there was so much in there that was not satisfying, and a lot of it came down to the characters. They were all just very disposable. Like even if there was like one character that like I could cling on to, because even the main character, she wasn't like going through an arc the way Ripley went through an arc. She wasn't like rising to the occasion. She was just kind of like surviving the moment. And that also, it was just weak. So there you go, Anne. No Alien Romulus.
No, but if
Blue
you
Steel
didn't
and
like
Empire
it,
of the Sun, I think.
if you didn't like it the way you didn't like the Alien 3, maybe I'm gonna like it.
Maybe you're gonna like it. I don't know, because it's a bunch of 20-somethings in space making bad decisions, and one of them is super obnoxious. So it's your typical slasher movie, but in space. Even if there was like one character to cling to, I think it would have turned it around or added a lot more to it. So there you go. Those are the coming distractions for this week.